That is unmuting the room. And then you're.
This is a test. This is a test of the City of Palaka's audio system.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so we'll start and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Palatka Historic Preservation Board meeting. This is a special called meeting on April 12th, 2022. And we are notified that a special call meeting of the Historic Preservation Board has been called to be held on Tuesday, April 12th, 2022 at City Hall, located at 201 North 2nd Street, Palatka, Florida. The meeting is called to commence at 4 p.m. The purpose of the meeting is for the board to hear case HPB 22-09 for a requested certificate of appropriateness for installation of a solar panel. And the location is 621 Kirby Street, Palatka, Florida. Invocation is Reverend Mulberry here, somewhere in Zoom land? No? Okay. Then I guess we'll go right to the Pledge of Allegiance. Chris, do you want to?
I can do an invocation if you like.
Is that would be fine.
Okay. I'm prepared just in case.
Okay. Always good.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Thank you so much. Chair Correa,
Present.
Ms. Craybill, not present for the record. Ms. Van Rensburg,
Present.
Ms. Schonberger, not present for the record. Mr. Beaton,
Present.
Mr. Hollister,
Present.
Ms. Pierce, and Mr. Baradell. We have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I am going to read, is anybody engaged in any ex parte communication? Okay. I am going to read the appeal process. Notice any person wishing to appeal any decision made by the Historic Preservation Board with respect to any matter considered at such meeting will need a record of the proceedings and for such purpose may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes the testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. Florida Statute 286-0105. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the March 3rd minutes?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving along. I'm going to open the floor to public comments. Please limit your public comments to 3 minutes. Does anybody have any public comments? Since I see no public comments, want to close public comments and move on to
Madam
the.
Chair,
Yes, please.
before we go to the first case, may I ask to swear in the new board members?
You
please?
may, because I jumped right over that. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Sunny Krantz. I'm the interim city clerk of the city of Palatka. If I may ask our new board members, Ms. Pierce and our alternate member, Mr. Baradell, to please rise. If you would, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. When I ask you to state your name, just state your name. I state your name. And if you would, please turn on your mics. I forgot to say that. My apologies. You just hit the push button. A historic preservation board appointee
a historic preservation board appointee
of this Palatka City Commission
of the Palatka City Commission,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of my appointed office
the duties of my appointed office
and will support and honor
and will support and honor
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
all applicable laws
all applicable laws
of the state of Florida,
of the state of Florida,
Putnam County,
Putnam County,
the city of Palatka,
the city of Palatka,
as well as the beliefs,
as well as the beliefs,
vision, and mission,
vision, and mission,
policies, procedures,
policies, procedures,
code of ethics,
code of ethics,
and code of conduct
and code of conduct
of the city of Palatka Historic Preservation Board.
of the City of Palatka Historic Preservation Board.
I hereby, through this oath,
I hereby, through this oath,
affirm that I will perform the duties
affirm that I will perform the duties
of this public trust
of the public trust
in a fair,
in a fair
equitable, and ethical
and equitable and ethical
manner,
manner
befitting the dignity
befitting the dignity
and responsibilities of the office.
and responsibilities of the office.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Baradell and Ms. Pierce. Glad to have you.
It says Deanna Rosani, but is it Enrica Rosani or what? Is it on? Is the applicant present?
Madam Chair, I do not see her.
Okay, Ms. Walsh, would you like to talk about this application?
I can. Ms. Sunny, do you have the staff report available?
It says sharing pause. If you allow me just a minute to hit share again. Thank you.
Thank you. So this application, as you noted, is, Madam Chair, is for 621 Kirby Street. On the map, you can see the parcel outlined or shaded in orange. The upper left portion of that backwards L is the frontage on Kirby Street. You can also see in the next photographs, the front of the home. It's 2 stories. It's got a pitched roof in the front and the rear. And then the second photograph is slightly taken from the south, taken from slightly on the south side of the structure. And the purpose of that structure or that photograph is so that you can see that if the solar panels are installed on the rear pitch of the roof, you won't see them from the street. And the next photograph shows the proposed location of the solar panels on the roof. That photograph was, or that drawing was provided by the actual installer of the solar panels. The installer tells me, the contractor tells me that the panels will lay flat on the roof. They're not going to be pitched up on a bracket. Sometimes you'll see them on a triangular bracket. These are not going to be that way. They're supposed to be flush with the roof, even though they'll be slightly raised off the roof a couple of inches because of the mounting hardware. So they would be parallel to the roof line and they would not, again, they would not be visible from the street. I looked up the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. And they gave a couple of examples as to how solar panels should be installed on a historic structure. And what they have indicated here meets those standards. If you go further down the report, Ms. Sunny, a little farther, that just shows the mounting hardware. The top photograph is an example of how not to install solar panels on a historic preservation or historic structure. And then the lower photographs are, now this is an industrial structure, but the principle remains the same, is that they're flat, and on here, they're behind a low parapet so that they are not, again, visible from the street. And the Secretary of Standards state that meets their standards for the preservation and rehabilitation of the structure regarding solar panels. There's actually a whole webpage devoted just to the installation of solar panels. So I again have researched this. It doesn't detract from the character of the house or the district, and staff recommends approval of the certificate of appropriateness for case HB B 22-09 at 621 Kirby Street, Palatka.
Okay, do any board members have any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Beaton.
Madam Chair, has the applicant identified, I'm not real familiar with the installation of aftermarket solar panels. Has the applicant identified if there's any cabling that connects the panels into the house and where that would be routed, what side of the building?
That was not included in the application, sir.
Can we request as part of the approval of this that that item be noted with the approval that any cabling would not be visible from the Kirby Street side of the house to passerbys? Is that possible to ask that?
It is possible, sir, but I would remind you that there are many other utilities that are placed
Other
on
wire and utilities that
Right.
exist now. so I
electrical
guess it's that
panels
balance.
and cabling, cable TV, that sort of thing.
I think we can ask though, and see what direction or what the contractor plans to do and have a sense of that. Although, like we see cable wires, we see a lot of things. I see satellite dishes that I really wish I didn't see.
Right.
So those kind of things too. So I guess it's again, being careful and balancing, making the house livable in this time and place with the historic aesthetic of the home. Yeah, so could you please ask though?
Yeah.
I will.
And that's not, and my
And you're-
intent
it's
is
not
not to hold up the
Right.
motion. It's just to ask if the applicant would take that into consideration, because I'm
Okay.
sure there are wires, but
Yeah.
trying to keep from adding to the clutter on the front of the
Yeah, being
house if
unobtrusive
possible.
as possible. Does anybody else on the board have any questions or comments? Anybody in the public audience have any comments, questions? Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes,
before we do a vote, would you indulge me to do a very brief historical review of the house?
sure.
Okay, so a lot of times, and this is especially for the new members on the board, we look at these applications and we're considering just the building itself, but I think it's helpful to remind all of us that there were living people and families that were associated with all these homes, and in many cases, those people contributed significantly to the history of the community. This particular house, according to the Florida Master Site File, was built sometime between 1892 and 1897. An early resident of the house was L.C. Smith, who was a well-known brick mason in Palatka. As I'm sure everyone knows, that there was a big demand for bricklaying in Palatka because of not only the buildings, but streets and so forth in the community. Another very significant resident of the house was Eva Mae Kelly, who happened to be my third grade music teacher at Campbell School. Miss Kelly was the organist for St. James United Methodist Church for 27 years. She taught music in the Putnam County school system for 33 years. And her husband's name was A.C. Kelly, and he worked for the city of Palatka for 24 years. He was a part-time police officer for the city. And when he passed away in 1956, he was superintendent of the Department of Sanitation for the city. So I just wanted to pass that along, that there is a backstory to all of these houses that we deal with. And when possible, if I'm able to come
That
up
would
with
be-
some
that's
research,
great.
I like to pass it along. Thank you,
We
Madam Chair.
appreciate that, Mr. Beaton. Thank you so much. Okay, is anybody willing to entertain a motion?
I'd like to move that we accept the staff recommendation for approval of this project.
With, do you want that statement in it about, as, for the cables and wiring to be
Yes,
done,
please.
if possible, to be
If
unobtrusive?
possible.
If possible?
Yes.
Okay.
I would second.
And we have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all set there. Thank you. And I think it's for Palatka groundbreaking. This is, I think, the first house that we've approved with solar panels. So going green, Palatka. Maybe. The next thing on the agenda is a letter of support for roof repair and placement challenge to FEMA. Location 200 Main Street, St. Mark's Episcopal Church. Ms. Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your packet is a copy of the letter that we are proposing for support. This is for the St. Mark's Church, Episcopal Church down the street at 200 Main Street. Thank you. They are in the middle of a claim with FEMA dispute, the dispute of a claim with FEMA regarding the repair and replacement of a roof, of their roof on the church in the main sanctuary. That resulted from from Irma, is that right? Irma, yes, thank you. This letter would not obligate the city to any particular financial support, but it is a letter of support in recognition of the applicant's efforts to, number one, preserve the church buildings, and number two, keep them in good repair, which is difficult to do in many cases. Your direction would be appreciated as to whether or not you'd wish to support it.
Okay. Do the individuals here from St. Mark's Church want to speak to this topic? Okay, please give your name and, yeah, and please give your name and address for the record.
Stuart Robinson, 236A5 Northeast Highway 314, Salt Springs, Florida, representing St. Mark's Episcopal Church. We have had an ongoing battle with FEMA concerning the mitigation. Mitigation is where you go beyond the standard repair to keep it from happening again. It's like corrective action to prevent it from happening again. Same idea. Well, they have claimed that because of one leak and not having shingles ripped off the church, that we're unable to, they're unable to provide mitigation funding. We've gone through an appeal process. Every time we mention appeal, go through the appeal, one more step or an amendment or whatever, they end up finding $1,000 or $2,000 more dollars where there's, mistakes supposedly. So we're going all the way. We're not going to back down. We're talking in the neighborhood of around $70,000 overall for this particular mitigation item. And when we came to you, and you may remember, Ms. Gloria, that in 2018, July 5th, that we were making a change to roofing, to the metal roofing, to do away with shingles. And of course, 24 gauge, galvalume coated, double crimped, standing seam, it's not going anywhere. So we feel we have a very strong position, but we need some help. We want to make sure that they understand that you would not have approved our request for a certificate of appropriateness if we had only mitigated a small portion of the church with metal and leave the rest with shingles. And it was just, it's gone on from there. The reason I decided when I was in the project manager on the job, and when I got up on the roof and I saw cracked shingles, I don't know, it's not in your packet, but I do have a picture of the cracked shingles that I saw, and I said, I'm not putting my name on this roof to just replace a few shingles over a hole. I said, we're going to re-roof it, and that's when we all decided to go metal roofing for for the 4 buildings on our site. So that's where it is. How about questions? Any questions or comments?
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Beaton.
Have you had a chance to review the draft letter that has been drafted by the city for our chair's signature?
Yes, sir, I sure have.
Okay, you feel it's sufficient?
I believe it doesn't obligate you to anything, but it puts full support behind it, especially with the statement that you would not approve it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Okay, does anybody want to put forth a motion?
Motion to approve the chair's signature on a letter of support for St. Mark's and their work and in their discussions with FEMA.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, thank you. Unanimously approved. Do we have any other additional staff comments, in general staff comments? Ms. Walsh?
Excuse me, yes.
Okay.
I have 2 items. First of all, I was approached by Justin Bridges, our superintendent of facilities. Yes.
I believe his title is Facilities Maintenance Supervisor.
Oh, thank you. Get the idea.
Yeah.
He told me that he would like to, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It wasn't Justin Bridges. It was Brian McCann,
Okay.
who is in our wastewater treatment department.
Wastewater Treatment Plant Superintendent.
There we go. Thank you. Anyway, it was looking at mitigating some odor problems at the lift station at 110 Madison Street, which is in the North Historic District. So he is proposing to plant some shrubs that would have some fragrant blooms that don't smell like
To counteract.
to counteract any odor coming from the lift station that might be present. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know what they were thinking of, what as far as a solution to the problem. He also proposed the possibility of installing a fence to support the shrubs around the lift station.
Okay.
I don't think shrubs are gonna help. I mean, they've got to do something different. I walk my dog around that area all the time and the odor is just.
That's what I was
horrendous
going to
sometimes.
ask. I don't go to that area very often, what the odor was like.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know the solution really. I think that's something that needs a little research. Maybe he has to come back with some solutions to us if it pertains to the Historic Preservation Board, but it sounds like he's got a lot to deal with.
Right, yeah, and I just want to let you know what he has
Yeah,
in
what he's
mind, that
thinking.
he is
Yeah.
thinking about a solution. And if you see
Okay.
something change, that's probably what it is.
Okay, so you're not asking us to give a
No.
yay, okay.
A yay or nay, just to,
I don't
Yeah.
think we could do that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
I don't think we could say, yeah, plant some shrubs, that ought to take care of it.
We could
No,
say
it
yes, that the plants and shrubs are okay by our standard for the Historic Preservation Board, but I don't know we'll address the issue or not. That's what we
Mhm.
can't answer. Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to try.
Yeah,
this,
I know,
just-
I know.
It's
I
it's an
know. It's-
informational item.
Luckily, it's
that's all.
Mr. McCann's issue to address and not ours.
Right. And then the second item that I had is an upcoming workshop. It's put on by Mariah Justice, who is our coordinator for the Certified Local Government Organization out of Tallahassee at the Bureau of Historic Preservation. There is a CLG, Certified Local Government Roundtable session on Thursday, May 12th at 1:30 p.m.
And where is it?
It will be a virtual
Virtual. Okay.
virtual session. And as soon as I get a link to that, I will pass it on to you so you can put it on your calendars if you wish.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. And I don't know if maybe you can explain, Ms. Walsh, especially for our new board members, what the Certified Local Government Program is about? Or
I suspect you can do a much better job of that than I can.
basically, it's a national program and it's a commitment by a municipality to preserve the historic integrity of their community. And with that comes the opportunity for grant funding, for markers, for Florida, for master site file, searches and updates, which our city sorely needs. So hopefully we'll apply for a CLG grant in the future for that, but it will be helpful if you tuned in. It's worthwhile to listen. I don't even remember how long we've been a CLG. I was involved in getting the CLG status for the city, but it's been a while now.
Mhm.
But yes, it's a worthwhile thing to listen to.
To your point about the Historic Preservation Survey,
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Somebody else was talking to me at the same
Oh.
time. I'm sorry. Doing hand signal thing. So I was signing that. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
To your point about the Historic Preservation Survey update, we submitted a grant application to DEO on Monday.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we will see what comes of that.
Okay,
Could
perfect.
you email us all that address for the meeting, please?
Yes, sir, I will.
Okay,
As soon as I receive a link for it, I will.
great, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
I have a
Madam
question.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Will they be recording this meeting so that someone can kind of tune in later and?
Ms.
listen?
Walsh, do you know?
I do not know the exact answer to that, but I'll find out. Okay.
Okay. Do any board members have additional comments or questions, concerns to bring up? Go ahead, Mr. Hollister.
I forget where it landed, but somebody was gonna print up some information for realtors to give to people that buy houses in the historic district.
There already is, so just to clarify, for Northeast Florida Association of Realtors, which the realtors belong to in this area, there is already a historic district disclosure. Now, do they all use it? No. So more of that relies on NEFA, Northeast Florida Association for Realtors, training or making realtors aware that it exists. And that, because I find oftentimes other realtors do not use it. I have to kind of send it to them. And a lot of them don't, they sell everything, every type of housing. So they don't cognizant of that. And even that it's a historic district sometimes, unless you point it out to them, even though it does say that on the MLS listing. So anyway, I can get that form to all of you so you're aware of it. I can print it out and give it to Ms. Walsh to share with everybody, just for informational purposes, but that's what exists. Anybody else? Go ahead, Mr. Beaton.
In the past, and I can't tell you how long ago it's been, there's been packets provided to new members of the board that contain the Department of Interior guidelines that we go by, and also a copy of the City of Palatka codes related to historic preservation and the duties of the Historic Preservation Board. And I think it probably would be beneficial to the new, and probably for all the boards, since we have a couple of new members, but to have that. And I don't know, I may be able to, do you have
I think
your
I still
copy?
have a copy of, it was blue or green.
Yes.
Yes, I still have a copy of that somewhere.
Yeah.
And I also have the top, like the 10 bullets about the Secretary of Interior's 10 bullets versus the whole packet of information, which is pretty lengthy, and you can pick up online.
Exactly.
I can get those two to you and you can look at them and see if you think it's worthwhile.
Okay.
Okay. I should be making lists. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.